So we have nice freshly bored cylinders. However, you look down inside of here, I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but there is just a lot of little debris down in there. Just really fine dust and little, I can't tell if it's metal or if it's just cloth. So we're gonna spray some carburetor cleaner down that and just wipe those out, make sure that those are nice and clean. So let's do that. Get some carb cleaner in there. Oh, wow. You can just see how much dirt and dust there is down in there. So yeah, let's get these wiped out. So I've got this side all wiped out and all cleaned out, and I haven't done this one. And let me just show you, see if you can see the difference. I mean, everything in this is just nice and clean. You can see all the cross hatching. Looks great. Then on this side, you can just see how much oil and whatever sticks, whatever floats in here sticks to that oil. It doesn't feel like metal shavings, which is good. They're a good machine in the shop, so they know what they're doing. Anyway, I think they probably put some oil in here to keep everything from, you know, to prevent any sort of flash rusting from occurring should moisture in the air or anything get in there. But I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to wipe this side out, and then after I wipe them out, I'll go put them over on the clean table, and I'll probably spray a tiny bit of WD-40 in there. Okay, I have both of these cylinders wiped out, but before I am done, this hole right here, this is actually an oil passage hole. And if you don't believe me, look over here at the engine, excuse me, at the crankcase. You can see right here, that's where that oil, that's where that hole meets up, and you can see it goes straight into the oil pump. So we're going to make sure that is also clean. So I'll spray it out, spray this out right here, just like I did with the connecting rods. I want to make sure all of those oil passages are clear. Now here in the head, this is the corresponding oil passageway that goes up to the rocker arms. So we'll do the same thing here. Just clean it out really well. And I'll blow it out with some compressed air. Okay, that's good. As you can see, we have cleaned up the frame of this tractor, and now we can go ahead and install the block. First thing I gotta do is clean up all the paint that we didn't mask properly. So I'll clean up that paint, make sure that the gasket, there's not any paint between the surface right here of the crankcase and the gasket. Okay, that gasket surface is all cleaned up. So now I'll go ahead and install the gasket. These base gaskets don't really have a top or bottom, but I usually just default and do the words out. Okay, now I'll go get the head, excuse me, now I'll go get the block inside the block in place. This is kind of hard to do by yourself, but what you want to do, lift this up into place. Come on. There we go. Okay, now let's just put some lock washers and nuts on there and we're done. Okay, so I put the nuts on there, but I didn't torque them because as I was putting them on, I realized that I might not want to put the block on quite yet. I might want to pull it back off and pull out the oil pump and make sure that all of that oil pump and everything down there is nice and clean. So I'm going to go inside, call it a night, and figure out a little bit later whether I'm going to be pulling this block off, pulling the block back off, and cleaning that oil pump out. I think that's probably the best idea. So anyway, I'm going to go to bed. You guys have a nice night. Can you see my little helpers out there? A couple deer just laying here in the grass. I want to go and I want to measure the diameter of the rod journals. So on a B, it says right here, our tolerance or our allowance is 1/1000th of an inch. We got to be between 2.749 and 2.750. So let's go check that real quick. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to grab my 2 to 3 inch micrometer, and let's go and verify the diameter of that rod journal. Okay. So I've just got to open this up. I know I'm going to be about at 2.75, so there's 2.8. So let's go in here. I'll take a couple of different measurements. So there's the first measurement. And this is a vernier scale, so it's always a little bit more tricky to read. Let me show you. Okay, so if you can see this, we've got 2 inches, 0.7 right there, and then we are at 2.7. There's the first line after 7 is 25 thousandths, and we are right even with the second line after 25 thousandths, right at the 0. So the diameter of that is exactly 2.7, 25 thousandths plus another 25 thousandths is 50 thousandths. 2.750. Let's do a couple more measurements. So I've taken several measurements on both of the rod journals, and all of them are right. I mean, they're all right around 2.75. A couple of measurements I took were like a hair beneath that, like 2.748. But then I went back and took another measurement, and it came out at 2.749, 2.750. So I'm going to call that good. My dad had already measured these, and he called them good. So I'm pleased with that. It's right. It's within tolerance for the most part, and they're not egg-shaped. I checked, at the 12, 6 o'clock and the 3, 9 o'clock orientations. So I'm happy with that. And then before we put the pistons on, or when we're putting the pistons in, then we will use some plastic gauge, and we'll verify the diameter or the clearance between the journal here and then the bearing surface on the connecting rods. So anyway, so I'm happy with that. That's good to have that checked and verified.